tried that before. Have you ever been in a situation, some group dynamic, and they go, oh no, we tried that. Oh, that just did not work. When did you try it? Oh, we tried that in 1974. I mean, things change. Times change. You know, you can try it again, twist it a little bit, try a new thing. When I was first starting out, this is probably 20 years ago, we did a lot of direct mailers, and a friend of mine had his own welding business. He said, Charles, do you need any help stuffing envelopes? And I said, yeah, I could really use some help. He said, well, bring your stuff over and we'll stuff some envelopes. And we were sitting there and we were putting some brochures into the envelopes and we're talking about his business. And I said, how are things going? He said, not too good, not too good. Times are hard. Times are always hard, right? I mean, you have good times, you have bad times. Times are times. What does that have to do with our goals? What does that have to do with where I wind up? What does that have to do with me reaching my vision? Nothing. It just means I have to formulate a plan to get there. I said, well, what's the problem? He goes, well, just nobody needs any work. Well, where do you get your work? Well, machine shops. A lot of times machine shops need a welder. I go, okay. And they will independently contract out that welder? Yeah, they'll do that. I said, well, have you tried to approach them? Oh, yeah, I've tried to approach them. Oh, yeah, they don't like that. I said, have you gone around and shaking their hands and giving you a business card? Oh, yeah, they hate that. Oh, they hate that. And you tried it though. Oh yeah, I tried it. It's just, I'm telling you, Charles, it just doesn't work. Well, let me tell you, I love marketing, I love sales, and I have a passion for both. And so when I hear some of the principles that I espouse are not working, I'm going, wow, I got to hear more about this. So I said, well, when did you try it? I tried it a while back. Well, how many times did you try it? Once. So he went out one afternoon, went to 2 shops, handed out 2 business cards. It did not work. And in his mind, he created his own reality. In his mind, it will not work. And guess what? He's right. Some wise man once said that the man who believes he can and the man who believes he can't are both right. Isn't that true? Both of them are right. And so let me tell you what, Steve is absolutely right. It does not work for Steve. I believe that your perception has everything to do with it. I'm reminded of a guy named Roger Bannister. Anybody ever heard of Roger Bannister? What's he known for? That's right. Anybody know the year? 1954. Give him a hand. He got it. 1954, Roger Bannister. Now, here's the thing, the school about this. Before 1954, nobody could break the 4-minute mile. It was the impossible thing to do. Doctors weighed in and said that your heart would explode were you to actually accomplish this or come near accomplishing this. Scientists weighed in on the subject, said you cannot do it, it cannot be done. The law of physics will not allow you to do this. Now here's the cool part. This is the Paul Harvey rest of the story thing. I just love this part. Roger Bannister breaks the 4-minute mile in 1954. Now, something like within the next 12 to 18 months, another 10 to 12 people broke the record. Isn't that amazing? Now what happened? Did the rules of the universe suddenly change? Did the earth reverse polarity or something? Are we all now running downhill so it's quicker? What is it? Why is it all of a sudden easier to break the 4-minute mile? It's because everybody looked at it and said, oh, it can be done. So I can do it. My question to you guys in here is, what is the 4-minute mile in your career, in your industry? What is the 4-minute mile? There is a 4-minute mile. There's something that people say can't be done. What is the 4-minute mile? And are you going to be the one that breaks it? I think it's too easy to become a trained flea in your thinking. Anybody familiar with the trained flea thinking? The theory goes, I've never tried it, but the theory goes that you can take a jar and put 10, 20, 30 fleas in the jar and put the lid on. In the first hour, you will hear a bunch of popping. Pop, 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 as the fleas jump up and hit against the lid of that jar. After that first hour, the second hour, less. Pop, 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 pop. So after a while, no more popping. They're just crawling around on the bottom. What has happened? They get tired, run out of oxygen? No, they're fine. They just learned they cannot jump out of that jar. So, watch this, so that when you remove the lid, guess what happens? They don't jump. Why? Because they've learned it's impossible to jump out of the jar. So, is it impossible to jump out of the jar? It was. Now it's no longer, but they became trained fleas. They used the same method to train elephants in the circus a number of years ago. I don't know if they still do this, but they would take a young elephant just born to his mom. They would separate the elephant from his mother, and they would put a huge shackle around his leg and attach a thick log chain to a steel spike and drive it into the ground. The baby would just be wild and would try to get to his mama and pull on it and pull on it and pull on it and pull on it, and of course got nowhere. After a while, he didn't pull as much. He's learned that he's going to experience a little bit of pain, and it's quite frankly impossible. So that as he gets older, what do you think happens to the thickness of that chain? Bigger or smaller? He's bigger, smaller chain. Don't need it as much. He's learned he can't break it. So that by the time he's a full-grown elephant, they would have just a rope tied around his leg attached to a wooden stake that he could pull out easy. But he just felt that little tug, and it told him, you can't do it. To me, that's analogous to a voice. Who told you you couldn't do it? You're not cut out for that. You'll never be an athlete. You'll never be a winner. You'll never be this. You'll never be that. Then you become a trained elephant, and so you have this little voice that tugs you. You think, I think I'd like to be the best dead-gum salesman in the entire company. I'd like to be the best customer service person that when people look at me, they go, now there's the go-to guy. If your goal is to be that kind of person, then you got to break those chains that bind you. You got to do that by reprogramming yourself.